Hi, and welcome back to Rolling Hills Soul Care Podcast. My name's Jazzy. I'm here with Chuck. Hi, Chuck.
Good morning, Jazzy.
You know what? I always say I'm here with Chuck, but we never say we're here with Kyler, who's being awesome and recording this. So, hi, Kyler.
Kyler's
awesome.
now
waving.
He is. He's our audio engineer and editor.
An editor. My goodness, if you only knew the amount of things that Kyler edited out of this podcast, it's usually stupid things I say. I'm going to go ahead and own that. But returning to getting to know Chuck segment. See, you thought I forgot.
Hardly wait, yes.
I do wish this was a visual just so we could see Chuck's face when I threatened to ask him a question. I have the weirdest question for you, and only because this is something that resonates with my past. I'm curious what the weirdest thing you ever put in a microwave was. Or if you've had like, we all think of it, like, what is the microwave incident that comes to mind that you remember? I can see, y'all need to see Chuck's face.
Yeah.
He made one. I know there's one.
For those who are listening, I am old enough to have vivid memories of seeing the microwave when they were first being commercially.
I should say that part of my reason for this question is because I remember the first thing I ever...
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I remember the first thing we put in a microwave.
Yeah.
And that in itself can be called the microwave incident.
There we go. Well, in my case, it was I have no clear. I was a kid, and I have no clear recollection of where we were. But it was a person that demonstrated how a microwave worked by taking a styrofoam cup of water and sticking it in, and heating it up, and I was fascinated by the fact that a styrofoam cup could be placed in an oven.
Yeah.
Anyway, I fast forward then about 20 some years, and I'm working at Disneyland, and I'd been told that you shouldn't put metal objects in a microwave.
Yeah, we're always told that, and we don't believe it until we try it.
And
okay.
But I was also told to take a pan. This particular, I was helping at a Mexican restaurant in Frontierland, and they told me to take this pan of enchiladas and put them in a microwave.
Oh.
And I did what they told me to do. And it did what microwave ovens often do. And I still have that visual of seeing what looked like electric, like lightning bolts inside.
Yeah.
And breaking the glass on the front of the microwave and thinking, I don't think that's what was supposed to happen. So
we can't eat these enchiladas now.
Yeah, that was that's the first memory that came to mind of a bad microwave experience. So, yeah, we've blown up other things that have exploded, and made a complete mess out of your microwave oven. But that was my first. So.
All right, but the soundbite that I'm taking with me is, yeah, we've blown up other things. That's what I'm carrying away from this. Yeah. That and the blog post that you're going to read. Here's our segue. You're going to read us 123, which is called...
Building Deeper Relationships in a Microwave World. Yes, nice segue there.
Thanks,
Jazzy.
man.
We'll let the readers or listeners decide if they think so, too. So here's what I wrote. Patience is a virtue, it is said. And if that's true, I'm not a very virtuous person. I grew up long before the age of instant communication. I used to get excited when I received a letter in the mail only a couple of weeks after I had sent that same person my own letter. Now I can get quickly annoyed if someone doesn't respond to my text message within a few seconds. We live in a world that likes instant results. But relationships take time, whether those relationships are with people or with God. You cannot hurry that process. It's a little bit like deciding you want to bake a delicious cake for someone special. The recipe says it will need to bake at 350 degrees for 40 minutes. But you think for yourself, no way, I don't have that kind of time. So you set the oven on the self-cleaning feature so it will get close to 1,000 degrees inside. There. Now that cake should be done in about 10 minutes. And it is done. Not just in an edible way. Building deep, meaningful relationships takes time, just like many other things require lots of time and attention. If you plant a field with corn, it takes about 3 months before you'll be ready to harvest your crop. If you plant an apple orchard, it will require 3 to 5 years before you'll be munching on any apples. If you're an avocado lover and you plant a field with trees, you'll need to wait patiently for as long as 13 years to make your first guacamole. 13 years? That's a long time to wait for something. But good things come to those who wait, as the saying goes. I like what Christian author Bob Goff says in one of his books. Quote, "While I keep putting things in the microwave oven, God keeps taking them out and putting them in the crock pot." Meaningful relationships take time. They are cultivated over many years of shared experiences and deep conversation. That's especially true of our most important relationship, the one we have with God. That's one of the reasons soul care is so important. The world works very hard to fill every minute of every day with activities and information that often serve as a distraction from our most important relationship. It requires discipline to consciously choose to say no to some things so we can say yes to the most important things. Pastor John Mark Comer says, "Formation into the image of Jesus is hard, slow, and we are not in control. There's no killer app, no quick fix, no shortcut. The formation of the human soul is more like growing a vineyard than ordering takeout." Bob Goff put it this way: quit planting sod where God has planted seed. As we spend time with Jesus, we slowly become more and more like Jesus. Jesus knows this will take time. In John 15, Jesus said, "I am the vine, and you are the branches. Whoever abides in me, and I in him, he it is that bears much fruit." Jesus is using an analogy from agriculture to help us better understand the process and the general slowness of that process. We need to abide in the vine, Jesus, and live rooted in a deep relational connection to Jesus by the Spirit. Our role is to stay rooted in him. He causes the growth and the fruit, and he does it in his perfect time. And what kind of fruit will that be? God tells us in the book of Galatians that the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. That is a crop worth cultivating and waiting for. And I close with John 15:8 and 9. "By this my Father is glorified, that you bear much fruit, and so prove to be my disciples. As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Abide in my love."
Thank you, Chuck. I have a question. Because I understand... Well, let me start that question over. This is a really deep-hitting blog to me at this moment in my life, so that's part of why I have this question. But you said something a lot that tends to strike fear into the heart of myself, and I'm guessing a few other people. You use the word time a lot, and I find that scary. I know you're talking about the concept of our relationship is built over a very long time, and
Correct.
that's what you were saying the most. But when when I say we, I just mean me. When I hear the word time, I get immediately scared because I don't have any of it, or at least I've fooled myself into believing that I don't have any of it. So I worry about how do I cultivate overtime when I literally don't feel like I can find any time. Am I abiding if I'm listening to the Bible while I drive, or quiet timing in the shower while I pray during that?
Yeah.
How do we root ourselves when we're scared of this concept?
Well, I would say, first of all, don't be scared, because I think some of that some of the root of that is a sense of failure, and there is no failure. You're a mom. You've got demands on you that are real, and this does not mean. I've read books from people that you start looking and comparing, and there are some spiritual giants that we get up and spend 3 to 4 hours in silence
right.
to start the
I
day.
appreciate you saying that there's no magic like app or
No.
whatever.
Yeah. Well, that was John Mark, and even I don't know him personally. From what I can tell, he is a person who has recognized the. He wrote a book where he referred to the ruthless elimination of hurry, and so he's addressing things that were central to what he saw as being able to live a life where he could stay rooted and developing and still be available. I mean, it's not about I'm going to love Jesus with all my heart by ignoring my kids and my job, and everybody just needs to understand.
They can feed themselves.
So it is hard. It is hard. That means, is it wrong to listen to Scripture while you're driving? No. Is it ideal? I would say no. But you've chosen to fill a time that you've been given in a way that might otherwise have your mind taken over by tasks and conversations that you either already had and maybe didn't go well, or are coming up that you're fearful of.
Are you in my car?
And instead, you've chosen to fill it with the Word of God. And as I've read other books, Ruth Haley Barton writes a lot of books on things that we would broadly classify as soul care. And she's obviously she's a disciplined person who has spent a lot of time in this, and my personal opinion is gifted in this as well. But she doesn't say, hey, I spend half a day every day in silence and solitude, and you should too. I was greatly appreciative of start with 5 minutes. Oh, we just came out of a winter Sabbath where the pamphlet talked about taking 2 minutes of silence as you started that, and it actually asked you to time it. And I know from talking to a few people that for some, that 2 minutes seemed like a long time, and for others, it's like 2 minutes is nothing. I've been doing that for years, and they're on to a time where they're able to spend quiet. But they also have built either rhythms in, or they're at a stage in their life. I'm now at a stage in my life where, except on rare occasions, we don't have our grandkids with us. So when I get up in the morning, the house is quiet, and I can dedicate that time. And so I just had that happen this last week. We had our grandkids stay with us for about 4 days, and while I could still get up, I got up every day with the realization that I may be able to get through some quiet time.
Right.
But as soon as I hear those little feet on the floor,
Yep.
that's gone, and that doesn't mean I'm suddenly a bad person. So I just have to carve it out at some other point. And it's easy to say, oh, just get up earlier. I will tell you,
That's really easy to say.
that's easy to say. But for years, I worked in a job where it was taking me, on average, 45 minutes to get to work. And I was targeting to be there at 7 a.m.,
Nope.
which meant getting up typically by 5:15, 5 to 5:15, in order to
Nope.
spend a minimum.
Good on you, Chuck.
It was just, for me, I'm a person who needs, if I don't get sleep on a consistent basis, I'm a really grumpy person. And at that point, it's hard to be spiritual when you're a tired, grumpy person. I mean, Mary is a saint for living with a tired, grumpy person a lot of the time. So we each have to take what we have, and not compare ourselves. But I did say in the blog, there are some things that we may have to say no to in order to say yes to other things. And that's perhaps one of the key points here is just it's worth taking inventory every once in a while. I think most of us we're not doing things that one would say, well, why are you doing that? Instead, we may be doing things that it's like, oh, how are you able to get all this other stuff done? And it may be stuff that we truly love. And that just flashed into my head is when Jesus is on the shore of the Sea of Galilee after his crucifixion, before he returns to heaven, he asks the question, do you love me? But he also asks, do you love me more than these? And it never did define. What did he mean by these?
He didn't say these, did he? Or he didn't, yeah.
And maybe it's because he left it enough of a open-ended, what are these? That I could read that and say, Jesus talking to Chuck, do you love me more than these things that you're doing in my name? Because I want you to love me. I don't want you to serve me only. You know, I want you to have a relationship with me. Martha made that mistake. Mary and Martha invite, I mean, I'll step all the way back out. They invite God to their house for
Right.
dinner. If I knew I was inviting God in the flesh to walk into my home, I can imagine what I'd be doing, and I have a feeling I'd be Martha on steroids. And she gets upset because Mary is seated at his feet, soaking him in and everything he says, and that's the relationship that Jesus is looking for. And he says to Martha, he didn't say, you're doing a terrible job as a hostess. He says, Martha, Martha, you are troubled about a great many things. Do you love me? I'm now jumping. Do you love me more than these things?
Right.
So we just need to take time, and I'm speaking myself. I had the last couple months have been extraordinarily busy ones for me, and I'm just speaking for myself, because that's the only person I can speak for. And I've had to sit back and say, well, how much of this is your own doing? You said yes to this. You could have said no, but you didn't.
Right.
None of these things were things that were, I think anybody would look at and go, well, that's a really dumb thing to be investing in. Almost all of them revolved around this church and or family. So it's like, well, so you're telling me that church or family is wrong? And the answer is no.
Right.
But too much of it to the point that you can't get that quiet time you need, or that you're not able to fill your own tank. You're going to run dry, and at some point that is a bad strategy. So we don't want that to happen. God doesn't want that to happen, and so He's looking out for that balance. And Jazi, I've seen the way you're involved in things. I've seen the way you pour into your son. I see the way you pour into other people, you don't have anything to beat yourself up over. But I also
that could be
see
nice.
that you're taking time out of your day to sit here and record a podcast. Did you have time for that? No, you chose to. You calendared it, and so sometimes we have to do that as well. That means, okay, I'm going to calendar something that's important to me in terms of I need to take a break on this, and so I'm going to calendar a walk by myself where I can spend time with God or something like that. Just, am I willing to schedule time and hold to it as best I can, and not beat myself up when I'm doing things to sustain family and relationships. So there's no magic answer, and there is no one answer to how one does this.
It feels like there's a lot of connection between this blog concept of like building the relationship over time and the last recording that we did, which was the blog about how did we word that one? Sorry, a work in progress.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to get back there. Yeah, both of them are kind of like, we see the situations that we're in and we trust that we are working towards a goal. It feels like there's a lot of correlation between those two, but also a lot of action on our part that we need to consciously take and think about.
Well, and that you use consciously, thoughtfully, mindfully. Those are just an important thing to take in mind. We can get into patterns that where we lose sight of what we're doing, and sometimes it requires us to change it up. I recognize that I'm in a pattern where I do these things and I want to do this instead. Am I willing to give that up? And initially it's usually awkward or harder anyway. And then we do. And suddenly we build new patterns. And sometimes that's very successful. Sometimes it's not. But it's just a constant revisiting. And these are things that I think businesses do, churches do. Are we doing what we need to be
do it for ourselves,
doing? And we need to do for ourselves as well.
You've given us a lot to think about, Chuck. Thank you.
Yeah. I hope it was helpful. It was not meant to be condemning. And
I didn't mean to make it sound condemning.
No, it is. It is tied. As we've read and gone through the last 3 blogs, most recent blogs, there's kind of a pattern that I realized God was working on me, that busyness and taking time to invest in Him. These are patterns. So that tells me that what was God working on in my heart?
That's true.
Those things. And so this just becomes part of our shaping, going back to the previous blog, we're being shaped as living stones, and that's that fine-tuning, cutting, chipping, where He has a precision shape for us. And that's where we are at this point in time is not a finished product. So you have to remember
I'm glad
that.
God can see it, so I don't have to.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Chuck. And if you would like to check out more of these blogs or chat with us about it, we welcome that. You can find it at rollinghills.org/worship. You can also follow RH Worship on Instagram, and the link to those blogs are in that bio. Yeah, Chuck, I have a lot to think about now. Thank you.
And now you need time to think about this.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, all right. Till next time.
All right. Take care.